Hello, everyone. It's a big honor to be here, to be invited as a guest speaker. Actually, the first time in my life I've been invited as a guest speaker. I'm a little bit nervous. I had a incident the day before yesterday. I spent 8 hours in the emergency room. I was thinking, okay, I need to cancel this talk, but everything went out well. But the only one thing that I want you to know that I'm super, super nervous. So I do my best. And I hope you will get interesting information out of my presentation today. And I'll leave some time for the questions at the end. All right. So let's get started. I would like to talk about successful aging in digital area today. But before I dive into the presentation itself, I would like to talk a little bit about myself. Based on the accent that you hear, English is my not first language. I do speak Russian and Kazakh, so you can consider English as a third language. So I am originally from Kazakhstan. Does anyone of you know where is Kazakhstan? Yeah. Okay. This is what Triple G is from. Because majority of people, when I say I'm from Kazakhstan, everyone saying, do you know Triple G? Triple G? Yes, I know him. So this is where I'm from. I am from the capital of Kazakhstan, Astana. And I got my bachelor degree in health policy and management from the University of Michigan, Dearborn. Then I did my Master of Public Health degree from Boston University. Then I went back to Kazakhstan for 5 years, working at one of the biggest national university, Nazarbayev University in Astana, working at the lab of epidemiology and public health. And then I went to do my PhD at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. My journey in PhD was very interesting and stressful as any PhD journey. I started at the lab of epidemiology, but then the lab closed. And we decided that I was told either you have to drop and get to another school. By that time, I already completed my courses. So 2 years of courses were done. Now there is no advisor. Now I have to choose something else. This is where I ended up at the Human Factors and Aging Lab with Dr. Rogers. I'm very grateful I got to that lab. And then pandemic hit. So that was a very tough years, but I'm here. I'm here as a postdoc. So that means I was done with PhD and was glad that I was able to complete it with all the obstacles that I had. So today, as was mentioned earlier, I'm a postdoctoral associate at the School of Public Health, but my role is very interesting because I'm not completely at the School of Public Health. I'm working closely or doing research with the University of Maryland Extension Services. So we are out there with the people, particularly with older adults, doing research on older adults all around Maryland. It's a little bit of a new role for me, because I spent 5 years in PhD doing research in the lab, doing all the qualitative, quantitative data. Now I'm out there in a community, which is very interesting. And I see how can I apply knowledge and the skills that I did in my PhD toward the actual older adults. Okay, so this is a little bit about myself. This is just a one sentence summary about as up to now where my research lies in. So my passion is in the dynamic intersection between public health, aging, and technology. I plan to conduct and continue conducting research to improve the health and well-being of older adults through the effective integration of technology into their lives. So today we're going to hear a lot about technology, a little bit of role of technology and successful aging and what it is. So I would like to start off with this diagram graph. I think many of us know. If you don't, I'm going to talk about it a little bit, that US population as well as the population worldwide is getting older, meaning that we have more and more older adults who are getting into their 70s, 80s, and 90s. So that's majority or baby boomers that are getting older right now. So the worst population is aging is in unprecedented rate. It is expected that by 2050, that there will be more older adults who are 65 and older than children under 5 years old. This is the first time ever in the history we're gonna see and observe. So there are many factors that contribute to this phenomena. Older adults are actually different from any previous generations before. And some of the factors that contribute to the growth of older adults is increased life expectancy, advances in healthcare, advances in diagnosis and the treatment of different diseases. So in many Western countries and the post-World War countries, baby boomers are the ones that make the significant contribution to the aging population. So as they retire, their increasing demands for healthcare increases as well. we face many healthcare challenges, economic challenges, and then the workforce and the labor, everything changes. And then there are other issues that come up with the aging population, like social isolation, loneliness, interconnectedness, family structure, all that stuff is coming up. So this is something where when I joined the lab, Human Factors and Aging Lab, I was not very familiar with the term human factors, but I was kind of familiar with public health perspective of aging. So this is where I did my PhD degree, PhD thesis, not on all of these factors, but just kind of give you a big idea where my PhD lies in. And I would like to spend a little bit time of what I did in my PhD, because that is kind of a nice course from here to where I am right now. So I was thinking, okay, people are living longer, but does that mean that they're aging successfully or happier or healthier? Is it good that they have extra 10 years compared to the past generations? So that's the question that led into my kind of a ground of my thesis. The question that might come up in your mind right now, logical question, is what is successful aging? There are many terms interchangeably used in the literature: healthy aging, successful aging, good aging. So, and as of right now, that was my first chapter of a PhD dissertation. There is no traditionally well accepted definition what is success and do we call it success. But there is very prominent theory by Rowe and Kahn suggested in 1997 that successful aging is actually three components. First is minimizing the risk and disability. Second one is engaging in active life. And third one is maximizing physical and mental activity. So based on their definition, if you meet all these criteria, you're aging successfully. Well, that brings a lot of questions, and that's what brings a lot of questions in the literature. Many researchers were arguing, critiquing the framework that they provided, and this is where my research interest arises as well. So I was thinking, okay, more and more older adults are aging, some of them aging with disability, some of them aging into disability. That means if they're aging with disability, they had a disability before they reached 60 years old. If they're aging into disability, that means they kind of start having, due to natural aging process, some disabilities or diseases once they get into 60 and plus. So in fact, 2 out of 5 older adults in United States have at least one disability. So does that mean if they have disability, they're not aging successfully? That means they're not in the definition of Rowe and Kahn, because they already have definition. So by definition, you have disability, you're not aging successfully. But this is not what literature says. According to the qualitative interviews that were a lot of interviews where researcher asks older adults with disability, the straight question, do you think you age successfully? Yes or no? And actually, a lot of people aging successfully based on their own subjective definition. So this is where the rationale came up in my dissertation. Okay, older adults with disability do not meet objective criteria of researchers, but they still perceive themselves as aging successfully. What is going on? There is something else that we need to consider in the definition of successful aging. So my idea was to explore successful aging that presents disability. So what's going on? What are the underlying factors that contribute to aging successful despite the fact that you have disability? And so I explored the successful aging, and then I explored the role of social and physical activity. So that's all based on the literature. I had 3 parts. First part, as usual, was a literature review, but the first important part was the quantitative part, where I proposed a framework for successful aging and applied that framework to a population level analysis. And the second part, I applied this framework to the qualitative part, where I interviewed older adults with mostly mobility disability. And what I found out that actually it's before I got into the summary point of the dissertation, I wanted to know that this was the first study to our knowledge that estimated successful aging with disability. So we were able to provide the percentage of older adults on population level, how many of them are aging successfully, even in the presence of disability. All previous literature were based on definition Rowe and Kahn, where you do not have disability. And we hope that we expand the knowledge about successful aging and experience of those with disability. We tested the proposed framework. Now, and I'm at the stage of trying to publish. Everyone know what is publishing is. It's a long, stressful process. So from the practical standpoint, we have a great awareness and understanding how older adults perceive successful aging. So we approach successful aging from their perspective. This is not that we come to older adults and say, okay, this is what you need to do to be successful. This is where they come up and we heard their voices saying, okay, successful aging for me is this, this, and this. And we hope that we also enhance the relevance of public health intervention, taking into account what older adults think about aging successfully. So one takeout or couple takeouts, bullet points from dissertation is that based on my analysis, I had 30% of older adults on a population level who are aging successfully based on my definition, despite the fact that they have disability. When I interviewed older adults, the number went to 88%. And this is some of the things that we found out. So we asked first question, do you think you age successfully? This is where 88% said, yes, I think I do age successfully. Could you please tell me more? Why do you think so? And this is where all these things came up. That depends on my current abilities and capabilities rather than losses. So I do know that I cannot move right now. I cannot do any 100% physical activity, but I think I'm around people that make me feel happy. So I think that's why I'm aging successful. That's one of the examples. Positive attitude. So they are very like a special population. When I talked to them, I was like thinking about my life and the thing that I complain about, and like applying their perspective is kind of eye-opening. Acceptance and coping strategies. So they found that, okay, I cannot do this, but I can entertain and do things that I still like with my friends the other way. Use of the resources, especially use of technology. And they also mentioned that it is very important to be socially and physically active. Nevertheless, you're using wheelchair or you're using cane or you're not fully capable of doing things that we consider healthy older adults are doing. Going back to the slide where I started, where I showed you where my PhD dissertation lies in. And then there was one piece that actually what was all my colleagues doing in the lab, and I was the only not familiar, but I'm glad I was engaged in several projects related to improving the quality of life and well-being of older adults using technology. So let's switch gear, and this is where I'm right now doing the research with the University of Maryland Extension Services. So progress in the recent decades has led to a plethora of current and emerging in-home technologies, plus systems that facilitate activities of daily living and different aspects of life of older adults. So we can see that there are different technologies that can contribute to for older adults to age in place, meaning that they can stay at their homes as long as they can, instead of like being transferred to nursing homes or independent living facilities. Dementia care, that's a big help for those who are taking care of people with dementia or dementia people themselves. Social interaction, we know actually the project that I was working on, One Click, the social interaction system, web-based system for older adults that was actually working successfully during pandemic, where older adults can join different events and do like yoga or different discussion clubs, playing chess or something online. Different things that contribute to increase the physical activity of older adults. So bunch of stuff that you can see out there, you can name it, that we use ourselves in everyday life, and we can think what our older adults how they can contribute, how can they benefit from using technology. So if we think, or if we look at older adults then and now, older adults are changing themselves, their population is changing, and the technology that they're using is also make them feel and look different. So the rise in new technology have potential to benefit healthy aging and longevity. We hope so as the researchers. But before we dive into the challenges and barriers with this idea, let's take a look at the trends that were happening during pandemic. So the pandemic might be a bridge to close the generation tech divide between younger population and older adults. So as we can see in 2020, usage increased across the technological spectrum. Ownership in all devices is up, according to the survey. That was the survey performed by I forget the name, the Pew Research Center, sorry. So we can see older adults are buying more smartphones. That's happened especially during pandemics. Besides smartphones, also the rise in purchasing different smart appliance, like in-home appliances, as well as home assistant technologies, Amazon Echo, Google Home, wearable technology, smartwatches. So different things that are out there, older adults are trying to use and adopt. So more than 50% of older adults age 70 plus are owning a tablet. That's a 40% rise. Not a 40%, 13% rise from 2019. 44% of older adults have a more positive feeling toward technology now since they start using during pandemic. They see, okay, here's how they can benefit from it. Streaming content has increased as well, so more older adults are watching Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, all that stuff are rising, and 64% of older adults are actually owning a smart TV, which is up from 2019 compared to 2019. 76% of older adults 50 plus have a wire high-speed internet, so they have a more accessibility to internet to use all this technology. So although older adults are currently much more likely to use technology and internet compared to a few decades ago, usage is still low compared to younger population. So they are more comfortable using technology. They find the way they can utilize either for communication or for entertainment. Secure internet access is actually one of the biggest barriers still. So even though, as I said before, 76% of older adults have high-speed internet, there is still percentage of older adults who don't have it, do not want to have it, or have no idea that there is actually available in their areas. Some areas are rural, some just don't have those providers for internet. So that's one of the biggest problems. So other than that, learning to use technology can be a significant barrier for older adults to incorporate system into their lives. So something that is so easy to use for us, we do it every day. For some older adults, if we were in their shoes, we could imagine what are the challenges besides challenges of using new technology and challenges with the health that come due to natural aging processes. So here is a list some of the challenges and barriers that older adults encounter when they adopt and use internet. So as you may see, lack of instructions and guidance, one big thing, lack of knowledge and confidence. Some older adults like, I don't want to use it, I'm afraid to break it. Or some kids buy let's say PC for their parents, and the PC is always a part of the furniture. This is how they call it. So sometimes the technology is too complex even to connect or sign up, make an account, you name it, right? Any way you want to use technology, you have to kind of have an email or something, a backup system. So lack of social integration and communication, and feeling of those being always compared with younger population. This is some of the barriers. So there are advantages. We see the rise in technology use, but for now, for the research that I'm doing right now, we are more concentrated on trying to solve the problems related to the challenges and barriers. One of the challenges is that needs and preferences of older adults are seldom considered when designing technology. Even though older adults are increasing segment of technology users, they represent an important part of user groups. Their characteristics, their abilities, their knowledge must be considered in using in designing new technology. Unfortunately, this is not what's happening. Yet another important factor to consider is that older adults is not a homogeneous group. They vary on a number of factors, including race, gender, health status. Maybe they're still in the workforce, functional status, family structures, sexual orientation. All that stuff make the older adults a heterogeneous group. So this underscores the importance that one size fits all strategy in design and technology may not address all the needs and may not kind of attract older adults to use technology. Models of technology used, there are a bunch of them. There are two most kind of widely used. I'm going to talk it in a second. As with all good models and theories, they may help to distill and organize vast amount of data and research into small sets of fundamental principles. So why do we need the models when we design a project or when we're dealing with older adults? First, models can help us to predict whether the technology going to be used by older adults or not. Second one, the models can help us identify facilitators and barriers to use technology. So how successful the technology going to be in the hands of older adults. This is what models predict. So basically, there are two main factors that I want you to remember today. The first one is the extent to which older adults perceive technology as useful. So if they know it is useful, it's going to benefit their daily life, they're more likely to use it. Second factor is how easy it is to use the technology. Of course, there are many other factors or variables that can play a role, like gender maybe, or age. So, but this is the two main that usually play a big role in any model. So as I said before, there are two prominent models. The first one is TAM, Technology Acceptance Model, created by Davis in 1989, and the second one is the Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology. There was an iteration of the second one, UTAUT 1 and UTAUT 2. So this is the two prominent ones. So the takeout message of the models that I just showed is that if a piece of technology is perceived as useful and easy to use, there is higher chance of being used by, specifically by older populations, and we're talking about older population. This is how the Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology second version looks like. Let's just run. I know it is complicated model. Every time I look at the model, okay, there's too many lines and arrows. Let's just break it down into small pieces. So do I have it here? Okay. Yeah. So performance expectancy is basically asking the question, do I find the internet useful in my daily life? Or you can, instead of broadband internet, you can plug it in any smartphone, iPhone, wherever, tablet, whatever you have, trying to test. Effort expectancy. I find using PC easy. Yes, no. Or sometimes it's a Likert scale that you can make answers. Social influence. People who are important to me, like friends and family members, think that I should use smartphone. That's a big influence from the members of the family when kids come and say, okay, Dad, you have to use this application. It's going to make your life easier to make health appointment. You don't need to call. You don't need to go to the hospital. You just can sign up and use the technology. Facilitating conditions. I have the resources necessary to use. So you have the technology itself, you have instructions maybe or training materials, how to use it. And the resource could be also human resources, like people, neighbors, friends who can come up and say, hey, yeah, I'm using Facebook already and sign up. How about I help you sign up as well? Hedonic motivation is something related to fun. If there is a fun piece of it, there is higher opportunity that older adults going to use it. Price value is actually a big one. Affordability, if internet is reasonably priced. Asking older adults, sometimes they say that it's just too expensive for me, especially for the older adults from low income. And habit, this is something have to be a piece of thing that we do every day. For us, I think it's a habit already. We cannot imagine our lives, and I bet every time we wake up in the morning, our habit is just check either news, social media, email, wherever. That's a piece, what we call the habit in the model. And as I mentioned before, there are a couple moderating factors: age, gender, experience. You can name a lot of it there, depending on what you're trying to address. So if we talk about demographic, natural aging processes, cognitive variable, this is something that we cannot modify. We age, we have problems, we have with health, we have impairments, all that stuff we cannot change. However, there is a piece that we can change, hopefully, attitudes and perceptions towards technology. And this is something that is embedded in different frameworks, especially those the one that I just showed you. So technology self-efficacy might be enhanced by providing enough training to express mastery. So, and one big part of it is the training. Okay, you said it's going to benefit my life. You said it's easy to use. You said it's fun. How about the training part? There is always need for instructions. Older adults have less experience of technology. That implies that can we help them use technology if we show them how? So due to perpetual modern cognitive declines, it can influence their interaction and learning. So sometimes people on an iPhone, remember that function when you can make the font bigger? Well, this is something that kind of addresses the needs, especially for older adults. If they're hard to see, they can make the letters bigger. So that's kind of how technology can adapt to the changes due to age in older population. 48% of older adults say that when I get a new electronic device, I usually need someone else to set it up or show me how to use it. So this is another reason saying, okay, this is another factor saying, okay, we need to provide something like instruction materials or show them how to use it. So good instructional design for older adults is usually good instructional design for, basically, if you think about design and technology, if you think about it, can older adults use, can your grandma, can your mother use it, either with or without instructional material, then you can think of how successful the technology is. So how to start training program? It is a very big, there is a very big like kind of graph, where to start, how you go back and forth. But the initial step is the needs assessment from two perspectives. First one is the task analysis. You kind of identify what are the knowledge and skills and abilities that the potential user has right now. And the second one, what are the personal characteristics, saying like any challenges with health or cognitive or motor abilities. So this is where I am right now, just approved the IRB research on broadband internet and technology adoption among older adults. This is a needs assessment study. The first step that we are doing right now, we're trying to answer these two main questions. First, what are the levels of digital literacy, broadband adoption, and different technology use among older adults in the state of Maryland? So we're trying to reach as many older adults in the state of Maryland only. What are the barriers and challenges that older adults face concerning the use of internet and different technology? Is it based on the literature? As I said earlier, it's accessibility, affordability, attitude, knowledge, skills, all that stuff go into the second part. This is what I use you still use as a research flyer. I'm trying to recruit older adults who are 60 and plus residing in Maryland. Since we are working with the University of Maryland Extension Services, we are recruiting through different organizations that work closely with Extension Services. That is senior centers, projects like Meals on Wheels. So anywhere we can get older adults. So the first step gonna be a quantitative survey. So older adults come for 40 minutes and complete a paper-based survey, multiple choice questions. Do you have internet? Yes, no. Do you use internet at home? Yes, no. Do your friends use internet? Yes, no. So all that kind of stuff, very simple, just to get a first research question. The second one, as well as the demographic, of course, information. The second one is the qualitative follow-up interview. So at the end of the first step, we ask them, would you like to come back for a follow-up interview? It's going to be longer. It's going to be more sophisticated in terms of the questions that we're going to ask. So it's more of an open-ended question. We are trying to incorporate youth out too, technology readiness, and the open-ended question. So let's say they said, I don't use internet. We're actually looking for those who said, I don't use anything. Those, the target population. I think when I will get the first interviews, more than 50% of older adults will have, yes, I do use it, because how would they have the access to even flyers are being distributed right now via emails, right? Or newspapers that senior centers are sending around older adults is coming through mobile devices or tablets or anything. So there's a big challenge for me actually reach those who like sitting at home and have no access to anything. So how can I distribute flyers to them? So that's why I'm trying to, those older adults who come, I said, do you have a friend in your neighborhood who is like not tech savvy, and have internet and have mobile phone? Can you handle this flyer for me, please? So in the second part, we're going to ask them question. Okay, you said you're not using internet. Could you please share with me why? And usually older adults are very talkative. They can share a lot of different stories. So based on the previous literature, is like, I don't find it useful. I still get all the news the old way. I have newspaper in front of my porch. So all the different stuff we're trying to address. So what we're trying to get out of the study is hopefully to get the insight, what are the subjective perceptions of technology, basically answering questions, why they're not using, what are the barriers, challenges, what are their own perspective on that. Understand internet adoption among a diverse group of older adults. Is it more like older adults with disability who are not using, or is it more of a low-income families, or is it a question of accessibility? Sometimes the areas, especially I think west of Maryland, are not using because they simply do not have internet provider there. And with the results, we are trying to kind of come up with the bullet points or summary. Okay, here are the things you have to address when you are trying to come up with the program that would teach older adults how to use technology, how to use internet. So assist interventionalists in promoting technology. I think interventionalist is going to be us as well. So first step is needs assessment. Second one is create a program. Basically, the end of it, we were hoping to get a training kind of sessions for older adults where they can come and we can teach them how to do it currently senior plan is doing that already. There are a lot of classes for older adults. I went to their website and I was amazed. And one of the greatest thing about it is that older adults are being taught by older adults. And that's the part that is most important, because for older adults, you maybe from your own experience, you know, you have to have a lot of patience, maybe explain the same thing again and again and again. You know that you are tech savvy and like, okay, here's how you close the word, here's how you open the document, and you send it. So for older adults, you have to repeat it, you have to make it slow, and then again and again. So that's why when they hear it from older adults, they feel more comfortable. So I think that's a great program that senior planners are doing right now. So besides that, the current initiatives of the University of Maryland Extension is that the project called Marylanders Online. It's a basically newest program with the goal to increase digital literacy skills and competency among Maryland residents, not only older adults. Anyone can call and say, okay, I have a new computer here. Could you please help me to connect it to internet? So this is one of the projects that we're doing right now. There are two pieces to it: digital navigators, so basic technical support. If you go to online Marylanders Online, there is a number. I don't think it's 24/7, but anyways, you can call them and say, okay, I have a broken PC. Could you please tell me where I can take it? And they provide you with information. And then the second part is the digital literacy tech education. This is exactly what I was talking about, the digital education for any population. It's not only older adults. So like classes where they're training, where they can come and learn different things, how to set up your email, how to open an account on Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is. Okay, this is what University of Maryland Extension Service was doing already before I joined the project. And the part that I'm bringing is like on a research perspective, applying qualitative and quantitative data analysis, hopefully kind of help them with their education programs that would address particular the needs and preferences of older adults. So based on the presentation, based on everything I've just told you, we see that aging is a multidimensional process. The different things play a role in the aging right now. It's changes in social roles and change in living arrangement, and changes to the chronic illness and functional impairment due to natural aging processes. We know the aging is going to happen no matter what. We're going to be at that point, hopefully someday too. So, but the aging right now is so much different what was 10 years ago, let's say 20 years ago. So aging in 21st century is vastly different compared to younger. The prior generation. Definition, who is old and what it means to be old, is evolving every time. Older adult population is not a homogeneous group. We have to take account that there are different. They're just different. Recognizing the diversity, technology has the potential to address various challenges faced by older adults, improving their quality of life. We hope so, because some older adults are just, they like it the old way they did, and sometimes it's very hard just to change them. So it is essential to ensure that older adults have access, at least they have opportunity to know how they can benefit. Sometimes it takes time. You show them once, they're like, no. Then you show a second time, okay, I found it easy. And then sometimes it just takes time. But I think every older adult should have an opportunity to be introduced to the technology that can help them to improve their quality of life. I would like to end my presentation with this nice saying that older adults are not technophobes. They are tech explorers waiting for the right opportunity. And from now on, I have any questions. Thank you for your attention.